Howdy folks, so today we're looking at how to paint Eldar in iyanden scheme. We're specifically looking at how to paint mainly, the tanks today. We'll also be painting Prince Uriel's, what are they called again? His specific Corsairs, which I think are called Eldritch Raiders. So we're going to be looking at how to paint those as well, step by step. So we primed all of our miniatures using Wraithbone, and after we've done that we go over using Imperial Fist contrast paint through our airbrush. Now we are using an airbrush in this. It speeds up the process a lot, and I would highly recommend doing it this way rather than by hand. It just makes it so much easier and so much quicker for you to be able to get an army done, and you get a colour sorted on them very quickly. So once we've done that, we're using Ultramarines blue from the Vallejo range on all the blue parts that we want to do on our models. Now for Eldritch Raiders we're using a bit of a different colour, and the colour is from the Vallejo range called Imperial Blue. So after we do that, we then take any black that you want. In this particular case, this is an Army Painter black that I've used. I think it's called Raven Black. And we do that, on all the sort of weapons. In this case, mainly on the fire prism. I couldn't get hold of the Vallejo Black, and that's the reason why I had to go for a slightly different colour. But I think if I was to do it again, I would have gone for the Vallejo Black from the Air range. Now here we're just mixing some paints together to do a highlight on the Eldritch Raiders. So in this case we're using the Imperial Blue from the Vallejo range. I'm putting a bit of thinner in there, putting some flow improver in there, and then adding some white in there. In this particular case I have used Ulthuan Grey. Now you can use any other white. Once again, I had limited paints to hand at that point because I couldn't get hold of the Vallejo paints. So in this instance I've used Ulthuan Grey, mixed it in, used the brush, mixed it all together, and then we got a nice highlight colour that I was happy with. After that we taped off some bits on our tanks so we can create a really cool patterns on our iyanden tanks. Basically makes the tank a lot more interesting. It breaks up all that yellow on there. The colour that we're using in this is once again Ultramarines blue. That's to match all the other blue bits that we've done already. You can use normal masking tape, but this particular tape, it's some hobby tape that I bought, oh god, years ago. It must have been about 6 or 7 years ago, and it's just lasted me all throughout this time. I've done all sorts of different projects. I will be honest, I don't remember where I bought it, but I'm sure if you look for, if you type in on Google probably orange hobby tape, you should be able to find it quite easily. I would imagine so anyway. Yeah, so we've had to speed up the video in this because obviously it takes quite a while to do these bits and bobs, because these are the two main colours. You've got your yellow and you've got your blue. Now one of the things I seem to have forgot to mention is we did do some more yellow, and we used Flashgit's yellow to sort of do a few highlights. Now we are doing the highlights on the blue now, and here we're literally using Imperial Blue from the Vallejo range. We once again added some thinner in there, put and put some ultron grey in there, and then we basically get a nice highlight. So now we're doing a glow effect on all of our tank turrets, and here we're using hex glitch in purple, and slowly after we do a layer we then put a bit of white in there, we'll put a little bit of flow improver, a little bit of thinner, mix it all together, and then you do like you cover like 75% of the purple that you've already done, and then the next stage will be you add a bit more white, you mix it in, and then you do 50% of the purple that you've already done, and that way you're building like a transition, so you get like a nice and smooth sort of like a little bit of a glowy effect. So yeah, literally just repeating the steps, adding more and more white in until you're happy with how much of a glow that you have on the model. So on the bases we've used sand, and then after we've used sand we've used Rhinox hide over the top to basically create a nice and dark base. Here now we're once again using Rhinox hide, using a sponge, and we're creating chips in our tanks, using the technique called sponging. So yeah, we're creating weathering / battle damage, and yeah, it breaks up, once again breaks up that yellow and breaks up that blue, makes it look a lot nicer, I think. So here we're using Gulliman blue glaze, and we're just putting that in the recesses on the blue parts. Yep, once again Rhinox hide on the bases that I've already mentioned. It's just I had to end up doing it twice because I forgot that basically I had the flying bases to do as well. So gems, we're moving on to the gems now, and here we're using corn red. I could have done literally all the parts which look like gems, but I thought it might be a bit too much, so I've just gone for what I thought was appropriate. Doing a couple of details now in gold. Here we're using Retributor armor, and on the guns of our Eldritch Raiders we've used the same Raven black as well as Brackheart flesh. Once again obviously using Retributor armor on any of the gold parts that you think would be gold. We did a dry brush on the bases, forgot to film this part, but we used Longbeard grey in this instance to bring out the details and make the rocks look a lot more 3D. We've used Avalon Sunset on the helmets and shaded them in using Seraphim Sepia. So this is the stage that we're at now currently, and I think pretty much they already look quite done, near the end stage of it all really. So for gems, after the corn red we ended up using Mephiston red, followed by Evil Sun scarlet. On the top we used a little bit of Rhinox hide on the top upper right corner, Rhinox hide to create more of a 3D effect for them, and then on the bottom we finish off with an orange. In this case it was Jakero orange, and we did a dot of white using Ultron grey. Thanks very much for watching the video, really appreciate it. So this was just a quick guide on how to paint iyanden tanks. Would really appreciate a subscribe, a like or a comment. It doesn't take much to do, but I really appreciate it if you did do it. It helps with the algorithm. Thank you very much. Bye bye.